Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get started with today's episode, I get to tell you about our great friends over at Streetside Brewery, located at 4003 Eastern Avenue, over in the Columbia Tusculum neighborhood. You will find the best damn brewery in the city. And let me tell you about Saturday, April 18th, Sabra Day. This is their celebration for all things dank and delicious, where they are releasing 3 variants of Sabra. Okay, you've got the original, you've got the Sabra Down Under, the triple dry hop, and the loud Sa. Okay, there's a lot happening. There's giving away specialty lighters and stickers with the purchase of any 4-pack to go. It is a celebration, as I said, of all things dank on 420 weekend. Okay, so go check them out. It kicks off at 10 a.m. for this one. And again, that is Saturday, April 18th at Streetside Brewery. Go check them out. It's one of my favorite things that they do. They are constantly doing fun events. So please, please, please go check them out, because they have been so good for so long to the Cincy Postcast. So thank you, Streetside, and thank you, listener, for checking them out. And on today's episode, oh boy, FC Cincinnati is in the news. Have you heard? Neymar rumored to FC Cincinnati. Is it real? What are our feelings on it? How does he fit in this team? What does this mean for the club and its identity? What does it mean for the fan base? What does it mean for ownership? What does it mean for the sporting side? So many questions about a rumor of this size. What I think is important to emphasize, though, is that these are real links, real rumors. This is not made up. This is not coming out of nowhere. This is not just a fluff piece. This does appear to be something in motion early on, not a guarantee, but certainly something that is happening. So we are talking about it, and it will lead off the show. Part 2, we get into the 1-1 draw at Toronto, a hard-won point, a hard-fought point on the road. Could have been a little better, could have been a little cleaner. Kevin Denkey loses his mind in this one. And yeah, an unlikely hero emerges at the end of this game. We talk about it, we break it all down, we look ahead for the rest of the season, put it all together. You got yourselves a very rumor-filled Cincy Postcast. Joining me to talk about all of that and more, I am joined by the Chief. Chief, hey, sorry for making you wait so long to jump on the podcast tonight.
Yeah, it's the weekend. I'm, not doing anything. I was watching a cult documentary on Netflix and was making valuable use of my time. I slept through most of the Masters today, so I'm full of energy right now. This is great.
See, that's the way to do it. So the good and the bad of this. The good is just got back from a nice long extended weekend in Chicago with the kids, with the wife.
Nice.
Had a blast. It was a good time. We went to Wrigley Field, saw Cubs game, with my son.
Yeah,
got to
do
the pilgrimage. Now here's where we get to the bad. We bought a baseball at Wrigley Field because we wanted to commemorate the moment. He likes comic book characters. So there was a Cubs comic book like style baseball. It's like Cubs theme, but it's like comic book. It's very, very cool, very interesting. We got home, and at 9 o'clock tonight, we cannot find this baseball. It is gone.
No. Oh God. Did you leave it in Chicago?
I believe my best guess is, because he loves this thing, he slept with it in the bed. It got mixed up in the sheets.
Oh,
and
no.
We completely missed it in packing this morning. So we've reached out to the hotel. I've not heard back from the hotel as to whether or not they found the baseball. Seems incredibly pocketable. Not blaming anybody, just seems pretty easy to slip in the pocket.
But also like not something that's so valuable that you would think that they're going to, someone's going to take that.
Look, be honest, the ball was like $12 or $14. Like, it was not the most expensive souvenir in the world. However, here's the trick. The good and the bad of that was, as far as I can tell, not available online. Like,
oh no,
any attempt to search this doesn't exist. So if any of the 12 live in Chicago, I would be happy to pay you for your time. I can't buy you a ticket per se, although I did see some of those tickets get down sub $10. If that's the case, I'll buy you a ticket. But could really use a little baseball. That is apparently only for sale in the stadium.
Damn, we haven't away day Chicago. Is that what we have to do now?
I think it's like next week, baseball. Though. I think that's the problem.
It's next week, isn't it? Yeah. Shit. Oh man, that's tough scenes right there. The pro tip in life, and this goes for if you have kids or you don't have kids, always give the sheets one shake before you check out of the hotel. It's amazing how easily like a sock or a shirt just sort of gets wrapped up in there by mistake, and you don't want to leave that. Or I've left charging cables before in hotels just because they're on the bed and you forget it when you got the cover here and the sheets, the fitted sheet and all that. It's hotel bedding can be a little bit of a struggle sometimes.
Yeah. Saturday, May 2nd, 8:30 p.m. I may be at that game.
We might be driving to that game. I have to accompany Mrs. Chief to prom that we're chaperoning. Not that she's attending, so get your mind out of the gutter on all that.
Careful.
I know, right? That's on Friday, so my Saturday is free on May 2nd. So
as long as your prom experience is sober, I think we can make this happen.
Yeah, I say, it's a pilgrimage. We're only going there to get the baseball. Oh, do the Cubs have to be in town for this to work though? Like, do you have to actually get into the stadium?
Yeah, hang on.
Well, they're probably playing a day game. I would assume that we could double feature this.
It would be really nice. May 2nd. Come on.
They're not going to be in town.
They are in town versus the Diamondbacks. 2:20 first pitch, baby.
I'm not saying this is not possible. A no. This is not a no right here. We're gonna have to. We may have to talk about this a little bit. Because I did have an intrusive thought about just hopping a flight, not this week, but next week to New York for that April 22nd game, just because I thought to myself, this will be the last opportunity to see MLS soccer in a baseball field. I think for the remainder of FC Cincinnati's existence in Major League Soccer, right?
There's, I guess, a 50-50 chance that the sprint season NYCFC FCC leg will be in New York. So they said that the new stadium won't be available for the sprint season. It'll be available at the start of the 2027-2028 season. And we only get one match versus the conference opponent. So depending on how that shakes out, it may or may not be. They could play that game. They could just play the NYCFC sprint season at Sports Illustrated Stadium. Just call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I did think about that though. Like, oh man, do I need to be there for the last FCC game on a baseball field? Considering that playing on a baseball field is part of this team's heritage, right back to the USL era. The biggest rivalry was, and the biggest match of the year away day was down at Slugger Field. That was like we'd travel every bit of 200-300 FCC fans for an away day in USL and take over a section of the outfield. Like, that's part of our history and our culture. And even if we played Louisville City right now, they don't play at a baseball field anymore. Like, we are rapidly losing this incredibly integral part of the American soccer experience of playing soccer on a baseball diamond. And I don't know. I feel like I owe it to myself as a fan to see that with the FC one last time.
I think that's a compelling argument. I was trying to think of this, Chief. Has there only ever been one match between Louisville and Cincinnati in a soccer-specific stadium? Because most of the away legs would have been at Nipper. I know we got one Open Cup match at the new stadium. I don't think we had a second. I could be wrong.
We didn't. No, I don't think we did. I think we've played once on a non-baseball, on a soccer-specific stadium. It's played one time.
Wow. On real grass. Yeah.
Right. Well, hey, if you want some good news, the way things are going with this season, odds are we'll be an Open Cup next year, so we may draw Louisville.
But given how USL is doing Open Cup, I guess there's a chance Louisville won't be an Open Cup.
Yeah. True story.
Damn.
I don't know. If this New York game was on a weekend, this would be a really easy decision. Like explaining to the wife, like, hey, I'm flying out of town on a Wednesday morning and coming back on a Thursday morning. Why? Because I really want to see a game on a baseball field. It's like, is it going to be a good viewing experience? It will not.
No. Will
the FC be competitive in this game? There is very little reason to believe that's the case. So why are you doing this again? It's hard to explain.
I think if you do it, or if anybody does it, but if you do it, you got to try to find like the worst seat. Like whichever seat is just like, the most baseball version of the worst. Like it's got to be like out in the outfield. You've got like 500 feet of just like grass in front of you before the field starts.
Yeah, you gotta get the full. This is an awful soccer viewing experience there. I think for your last time.
Yeah, it'll also be the last chance to see the postage stamp of a
the banner, the championship banner. Yeah, I know. See, they're taking all of this away from us. I don't know.
They gotta keep the banner, right?
They have to keep the banner. I think they're required, even with their new stadium deal. They should have to play one game at Yankee Stadium a year and go back to the old dimensions. Or their new stadium should have the same pitch dimensions as Yankee Stadium. Like they have solved the problem of the soccer specific stadium, but they have not given themselves an actual field. It's like, no, this is part of our DNA as a club. We have to stick with this.
Do you think FIFA would allow them to have like a dirt pitcher's mound like circle just like permanently at one portion of the field? It's just like spot's always dirt.
Or they should, even if they don't, like the grass should be cut a different way right there just to like memorialize the fact that the pitcher's mound is always still there. Like you need to embrace some part of your club's identity, even if it's like it's a totally superficial design choice. Like there should be something there. Like I don't know. I thought it would have been kind of cool if in TQL Stadium, they would have had the little nipper notches right there built in to the one side of the stadium. Like they don't have to serve a purpose other than to just be like, oh, yeah, remember that time we used to do it this way? That's kind of cool. A little tie to the past.
This would be so cheesy. But instead of corner flags, they're little foul
poles. Yeah. See, we need to embrace this more as an American soccer culture. Just the ridiculous history that most of these teams have. It can't all be buttoned up because buttoned up is no fun. And if you want buttoned up, the NFL is right there.
Yeah. God, I love the idea of cutting the grass in such a way that the current dimensions at Yankee Stadium are there. Like the outfield is cut that way. The foul line is cut weird. So like the field looks bizarre as the field.
But it's a soccer specific stadium, so you can't complain anymore. It's like, look, it's like, what do you people want from us? Right. And just keep the truthers going for another, generation where it's like NYCFC's final FU to the league is that we build a soccer specific stadium. The pitch is actually smaller.
I get it.
by like 1 foot.
It actually now is a trapezoid. Like you thought it was before, now it is.
Now it's definitely a trapezoid. Kevin, we're going to do things a little differently in this episode. I sent a text message earlier.
Yes.
Look, our Monday show is usually the game recap. If you're looking for a game recap, you can skip right to section 2 on this. Check the timestamp in the episode. We will talk about the Toronto FC Cincinnati matchup. But I think that, the biggest story with FC Cincinnati right now has absolutely nothing to do with the game that was played over the weekend, the team form, or anything else like that. It happened just conveniently. We always release an episode and the craziest stuff happens the day after we release. So we released our last episode, recorded it on Wednesday, comes out on Thursday as usual. And on Thursday, as we are all just minding our business, living our day, I want to ask you, first off, how did you find out about this? Like, how did you find out that this news had broken?
Man, so happens on Thursday. Like I said, we're trying to do our vacation thing. And what did we do that first day? Oh, yeah, planetarium. Okay, so we're at the planetarium. We're sitting down, getting ready to watch a space laser light show type thing or whatever. We're learning about constellations and just, being a terrible dad, just glance at the phone real quick. Just, hey, what's hopping on the Discord? Let's just make sure everybody's behaving themselves. Let's see what's going on. Why is everybody talking about Neymar?
I got a text message on a group thread that I'm on, and it just said OMG Neymar. And I was like, well, that's an odd thing for us to be discussing at at like 2:00 on a Thursday. And it all relates to this tweet that comes out from Tom Bogert, not Tom Bogerl, Tom Bogert, the actual Tom Bogert. Sources: FC Cincinnati engaged Neymar's camp on preliminary talks. Very preliminary. Still internal discussions at club about whether to push for the global superstar, but Cincy is gauging Neymar's interests, requirements. And there's a article that he writes with Paul Tenorio in The Athletic. The story has spiraled since then, as tends to be the case when a player of Neymar's pedigree and global stardom is involved with things. The latest. So I'm going to frame this with the latest right here, and then there's a lot to talk about with this. Yeah. I think the latest came this weekend from Territorio MLS. Tiago Brandao. Am I pronouncing that right? I don't know. Whatever.
I'm terrible at this.
I'm terrible at Brazilian names. Like Brazil, I got to get better at my Brazilian, apparently, if we're going to be going this direction. Urgent, because this is translated from Portuguese. So I'm assuming that means breaking, but in the translation, it says urgent. Cincinnati's interest in Neymar is concrete and has gained strength in recent days. The player's staff, led by his father, is already arranging an in-person meeting with club representatives to advance the talks. On the American side, the meeting is expected to include President Jeff Birding, Director Chris Albright, and a team specialized in image rights, a key piece in a possible negotiation. Cincinnati's idea is to understand the conditions for signing and to convince Neymar to transfer to the MLS after the World Cup. Even so, the striker has a contract with Santos until December. The club is also considering waiting until the end of the deal to move forward. I think that means since FC Cincinnati is considering waiting until the end of the deal to move forward. And that's from ESPN Brazil as well. So, Kevin.
Oh, baby.
Neymar, your thoughts?
I mean, look, a lot of people have a lot of negative feelings about Neymar for for what I think are truly, at the end of the day, relatively unfair reasons. They know him as a guy who flops a lot. They know him as a guy who didn't try his hardest when he was making absurd amounts of money in the Middle East. And that's their impression of him. I think the part that people forget in all of that is that Neymar is and was an incredibly unique talent in this world, was one of the most promising young players of all time. His peak is right up there with anybody else's peak. And the reason why you remember him getting fouled all the time was because that was the only way to stop him from playing through your entire team. I don't know what happened in the Middle East. As by all accounts, it's a terrible place.
There's a lot going on in the Middle East lately. We could do we almost did an entire episode about that on Thursday.
We did. But from everything we've heard, is players hate playing over there. They do everything they can to not try their hardest. Go look at like the crowds in those games. Yes, Al Nassr will draw 30,000 fans. The rest of them draw 1,000 or 2,000 fans. You've got USL teams doing 10x what Saudi Pro League teams are doing. Okay. So like, I understand that it's not hard to get motivated. Throw in the fact that there's all these other weird things. Yes. You take a superstar who's maybe sick of getting fouled and getting paid a bunch of money, and there's not really a lot of pressure for him to play. He's probably just going to get paid. Since he has moved to Santos, though, in the couple of seasons he's been there, he has been averaging a goal contribution every other game, is very well regarded with his team, and has played his way back into the Brazilian national team. I think if you took a player that was not named Neymar, but was older, plus 30-year-old, very good Santos attacking player back in the Brazilian national team, and you said, hey, you think you could like maybe get him in later this year on a non-DP deal, or in some way, shape, or form that he fits on this team and we don't have to get rid of a large piece of this team to bring him in? Would you do it? That's literally what this team is missing. Like what you've just described is Brenner in a lot of ways. But what Neymar offers that isn't Brenner is the whole circus and attention that comes with it. And I understand some fans may be hesitant about that. Let me tell you, the folks writing the checks, they wouldn't mind a little bit of that.
No. It's interesting that, so we've had this meta conversation. It's been primarily confined to the World's Gam. It hasn't really bled over to the most part to this side of things. And that's that we're in an era in MLS where the best teams in MLS and the teams that are chasing trophies don't just have designated players. They have like superstar global level talent designated players. You're talking Thomas Muller, Heung-min Son, Lionel Messi, and like, oh yeah, those are the three teams that are like the favorites for MLS Cup, the betting favorites for MLS Cup this year: Miami, Vancouver, and LAFC. It's so on one level, we can talk about Neymar the player, and Neymar the player just went 90 for Santos over the weekend. So, I mean, he still goes 90 when he plays. It's not like this is a guy that's like a 45-minute guy right now.
Right.
But, he's had health issues. We know that. But like, I want to step back, and like part of the way this discourse has gone down is this idea of you don't need to sign a player like Neymar just for the name recognition and just for, that's a move that FC Cincinnati doesn't need to make. Like, this team draws well. They're selling tickets. It's not like they need to do something in their market in order to get attention away from the NFL. It's not like, if the Chicago Fire don't sign some big player, then they're going to get lost in the shuffle. Like, oh, FC Cincinnati's better than that. Yeah, I don't know that that's true in this sense. we all expect that the roster rules in MLS over the course of the next 6 months are going to open up ahead of the switch to the fall calendar. They're going to start letting teams spend more money. We think there's going to be a greater ability of ownership, discretionary spend to bring in bigger players and, not pay to win so much, but more or less, more towards the idea of if you want to spend money and you want to bring big players in, that's going to be the way to be successful.
Yeah.
And, it's not hard to look at this league right now and see that Miami is dominating, LA is dominating. And why are they dominating? It's because they're destinations for players. Like, players want to go play there. Messi, the idea Messi wasn't going anywhere other than Miami, or like Son wasn't going to consider signing and Sporting Kansas City. At some point, FC Cincinnati needs to sort of make a decision as to whether or not it wants to play with the big boys, or it wants to be a team that wins on the margins. And, not like, direct comparison, but like Moneyball or the Philadelphia Union model, where we cannot generate the revenue or attract the top talent like these other markets can. So we have to do things differently in order to win. And you say to yourself, well, of course, that's the model Cincinnati is going to have to follow because it's Cincinnati. We're a small market. We're flyover country. And to a certain extent, yeah, that's the reality. But there's also another reality where MLS is trying to grow its league profile, and it's trying to grow its footprint internationally. It's trying to make Miami into a brand name that's recognized around the world, not just the country. And to someone that's living in Suffolk, England, or someone that's living in Munich or Rome or any of these places over in Europe or even in Asia, over in Seoul or wherever they're trying to market the league to, the first thing about Cincinnati. The only thing they care about when they're watching these teams is who has the top stars, who are the teams we want to watch. And there's a way to build your fan base and build your base and build your awareness around the world that has nothing to do with Cincinnati. Like, I would wager that other than knowing the Beatles are from there, most people around the world can't tell you the first thing about what the city of Liverpool is like. They're never going to visit there. They can't tell you like what the famous local cuisine is, who the mayor is, how many people live there, what the problems are. Same thing with Manchester. Does anyone know anything about Manchester? Like, Oasis is from there, right? Like, they talk like they're from the north. Like, but like, you don't in soccer, and it's very unique in global football. Like, you do not need to have a major. Your market size does not determine who you are and who you can be in this sport. What determines that is, does your team spend to bring the top talent in? Do they win? And do kids like grow up seeing these teams on television, seeing the stars wearing these jerseys and playing these teams on FIFA? And you can make a powerhouse in Liverpool. It doesn't have to be in London. You can make a powerhouse in Manchester. And there is no reason, for me, there is no reason why FC Cincinnati and the city of Cincinnati cannot be one of the first teams that people think about overseas when they think about MLS. The league is so young and is in just the infancy of trying to market itself around the world as a league that people can watch, that, Miami needs a rival. Like, Messi needs a rival in this league. Who is that? Son? Well, it could be Neymar too. And it could be a thing where the rest of the world watches this and it's Neymar versus Messi and Cincinnati versus Miami. And when you go to buy a jersey at a bootleg shop outside the airport in some country that you can't pronounce, that it's a bootleg Messi jersey and a bootleg Neymar jersey, and it's Cincinnati and Miami. And that becomes something where it creates attention and it creates value for the club and an image for the club around the world. You know what that does? Maybe it doesn't make the team better right this second, but it makes signing the next guy after Neymar easier. And it makes signing the next young player after that player easier. And at some point, if you want to do that, and this club might not want to, and I think there's fans that don't want to do this either, but if you want to do that, if you want this club to be one of the big four, big five clubs of MLS, at some point you got to change the narrative around the club and make it so that, yeah, we are competing with LA and Miami and New York, and market size be damned. We're going to do this. And then you leverage the interest and the value that comes from that, the money that comes from that, to start spending above your means as a club, otherwise in flyover country. And I want the club to do that. I want that ambition. I love that this club has never shied away from that level of ambition. And to me, setting aside what he can do on the field, this is the next step in that ambition.
Chief, I think people have forgotten the history of this club, but signing a player like Neymar is very much in line with what this club has done in the past and what it has openly said is its, identity and what they want to be, their aspirations. I mean, year one, they bring in John Harkes to a Division III unknown brand new club and go out and accumulate guys with tons of MLS experience. 2017, they go out and they start signing like absolute sharks from around the world to come in and dominate USL. In 2018, people will forget this. The NASL collapsed. FC Cincinnati was essentially an NASL all-star team. Like we joked about it. Everybody joked about it. Oh, since he's just going to buy their way to a title. That's what we did. That's what we did.
That was the goal.
And then people will forget the league and league commentators furious that this team, quote unquote, overspent on all of its talent in the early years. There was literally 4 writers at The Athletic that combined on a byline to hyper analyze the social media announcement video for Brenner, because they were hearing from other MLS GMs that they were pissed that FC Cincinnati overspent to be the first MLS team to crack into the Brazilian market. This
for
is
youth players, the Brazilian youth player market.
Yes. To go out and sign a Premier League striker and Jurgen Locadia to come in and be the face of this, to go take a guy like Lucho Acosta, taking a swing on him and making him a designated player and building the team around him. And then Kevin Denkey was a league signing record. Like when he came in, a lot of people will forget about this last year, because Miami took a lot of the headlines. But ask a lot of MLS fans, they looked at the Brenner loan deal as a very sweetheart deal that Cincy got, skirting the financial rules to bring in yet another designated player into their team. Like, this is our identity, man. Like you may have thought you were rooting for Bournemouth or Brentford. This is a team that has aspired to be Chelsea. This is a team that has aspired to be Manchester United for a long time now. And Chief, I talked about a little bit his playing profile. Let me talk about Neymar as a marketing tool. Everybody will tell you, oh, there's not another Messi. There's not another Messi. Okay.
There isn't, fair. But there's something damn close.
If it's not Ronaldo, it's Neymar. Go look up any listicle you want from the last 2 years. The most famous, most popular soccer players in the world, Neymar is number 3 every time, ahead of Kylian Mbappe, ahead of Vinicius Jr., ahead of Mohamed Salah, ahead of Cole Palmer. Like you name the guy that you think, Jude Bellingham, you think he should be more popular, more famous, more beloved, more followed than Neymar. They're not. They just aren't. Like Neymar is still, even playing in Brazil for the last couple of years, is still that number 3 spot. And
how many followers do you think Neymar has on Instagram?
Let's go 10 million.
You're a little off.
Oh, okay.
235 million followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
How many followers do you think FC Cincinnati has? The organization on Instagram.
100,000.
205,000.
Might get those numbers up for the signing announcement.
Right.
Chief, is a world.
My man is talking millions.
Yes. Now, this is a part of this little world that you're probably not as familiar with, but anybody with kids will know this. Every single time there are more than, let's say, 10 boys under the age of 15 in a given space, in a given room, given classroom, given activity, there is at least one Inter Miami Messi jersey amongst them.
Yeah. No, I've seen it out and about. Yeah. Just like
everywhere.
I want to chastise the parents. Why are you raising your kid like this?
I've seen people in Messi branded jerseys, like not Miami, not Barcelona, not Argentina, Messi. So to say that there's a market for a global superstar to come into our country, to come into specifically our city, I think is an understatement. I think the kids, and to your point, the EAFC, the FIFA players out there that want a part of this, that love Neymar, that love the skill ceiling on a player like that to add to their ultimate team, like you're talking about an echelon of player that I'm trying to think, like people are talking about like Mo Salah potentially coming to MLS. We saw Marco Reus being like bid between a couple of teams.
No.
Like not even close. How many FC Cincinnati fans wanted Thomas Muller last year and are now suddenly turning their nose up at Neymar?
Neymar, like,
You might need to go back and delete some tweets, delete some messages because you look a little silly right now.
The Muller thing, I wasn't thrilled about, but like,
give me a global superstar. That's
give
fun.
Me a little superstar. Here's the other thing too, and look, I get as a fan completely if your whole idea is that, well, he's not as good at this age in his career as other players we could get. And I'm open to the idea too that like, okay, when Miami signed Messi was old, but Messi was still starting at PSG and Messi was still like, he was still a, part of the Argentinian national team. He was still one of the best players in the world when they signed him on the downside of his career. But like the downside of the best ever is still pretty damn good. And I think we've seen that as a result, unfortunately, of his time in MLS. Like, is Neymar at that level? No, he's not. And that's just, Neymar was never as good as Messi at his peak. And that's not going to change with time and age as the two of them get older. I don't, and especially with the health issues with Neymar. I get if your idea is that I don't want this because, I don't want us using a designated player spot on a player like this where there's injury concerns, there's risk. He might not be as good as he once was. Number one, though, like you said, he's still playing in the Brazilian national team. So like, if you tell me that you're using a designated player spot on a member of the Brazilian national team without telling me anything else about them, I'm probably going to be like, okay, that's probably not the worst way you can use a DP spot. Yeah. The other thing, too, is that, what Miami is doing right now when Messi is around? They're renegotiating all of their sponsorship deals. They're renegotiating all of their media type things. They're renegotiating their kit sponsorships. They're renegotiating their in-stadium sponsorships. And do you think that when they're selling these, they're pricing these deals for the years Messi is here or the years that Messi will not be here? And the answer is they're pricing them at Messi pricing. Do you think they're limiting these deals to like just the next 2 years so that you can just get the Messi years of what's going on? No, they're selling 10-year deals to where, yeah, you want to get involved in the Messi hype train right now. You're going to have to sign on to us for the 8 years after he's left, paying those premium prices. And you know what that money's going to do? That's going to bankroll that club from here until, you know, the 2040s. And there would be nothing stopping FC Cincinnati from doing the same thing. And hey, God love Mercy Health. I'm sure they're a fine corporation that is for profit in our healthcare system, which is in no way, you know, a morally gray thing to have on behalf of your club. You know what I'd love more than that, though? I'd love somebody paying, you know, 10 times that much because they want every bootleg Neymar jersey sold to have their logo on it, because they don't care if the jersey's authentic, if it's from Temu or DHgate. Every one of those is going to have their logo. That's free advertising, every one of those. I would rather have that and then have all that money to spend on the next designated player. That's what I want right here. You know, all these like things and these signs and these sponsorships in TQL Stadium. I hope they've got a lockdown on the deal. I hope that's not up for renegotiation in the next year, because suddenly the price of sponsoring all this stuff in the stadium is going to get a lot more expensive, and that money can go right back onto the field. And that is how this club goes to the next level. I think our fan base needs to look at this way more fourth dimensionally than they are right now.
Look at what Miami's stadium sponsors' names have been the last 3 years. They went from Drive Pink Stadium to Chase Field to New Stadium or whatever, like a secret black money account that is just bankrolling the hell out of that. Their shirt sponsor is Royal Caribbean. You'll notice they're one of the only shirt sponsors, probably the only shirt sponsor. That's just a logo. They're not putting the company name on that. Like, it's a clean looking logo, don't get me wrong, but like, it's pretty easy to sell that when it's just an anchor on the front of a jersey. Kind of looks like a logo rather than a corporate sponsor on the front of the shirt. Do you think Mercy Health would be cool with just the little like Celtic cross as their shirt sponsor, because FCC wants to negotiate like less busy text so that they can sell a cleaner, nicer jersey? I mean, yes, you can already see it with Miami. Similar things would happen here. And I get, you know, the quick response is, well, I'm not pocket watching a billionaire. All right, fair. But ultimately, at the end of the day, as a fan of FC Cincinnati, you kind of need the business behind it to be doing well. Like, you kind of are not rooting against the real estate deal next to the stadium. You shouldn't be rooting against the sponsorship team. Like, I can understand, like, keep ticket prices low. Absolutely. That impacts me. That impacts you. Absolutely. But like, get as much as you can from TQL to sponsor the name of the stadium. Please, by all means. The jersey I buy that I pay way too much money for, I would prefer if the name I'm wearing on the front of it, if they had to spend as much money as humanly possible to make that happen. Yeah. Like, I don't want them to save a dime. I want the team to take that sponsor and do like the hold them by the ankles and shake all the money out of their pockets move. Like, that's what I want from all that stuff. Same thing with, like, you know, they got the KMK law offices suite. I want them holding a lawyer upside down and just shaking him as billables fall out in order to make as much money as possible for whatever that naming right is, because all that money, when the cash flow is positive on this, then as a fan, I can look and say, hey, I saw how much you signed that sponsorship deal for. What are we doing here on the designated player spot? We only pay $2 million for that player. Why isn't that more like 10? Let's go out here and let's level up right here. And it's easier to say that as a fan when it's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to pocket watch a billionaire, but I'm going to notice how much money the team is raking in and be like, I'd like to see a little more of that on the field, please. And that's how this works in global football, in global soccer, is that these teams turn into money-making machines. And as the money goes up, the spend on the field goes up. And as the spend on the field goes up, the international profile goes up. And that leads to more sponsorship dollars. And all of a sudden, you, without even trying, oh, God, look, we're a super club now. Doesn't that suck to have one of those in Cincinnati, Ohio? Yes. And like, I'm not necessarily saying that like signing Neymar will mean every young Brazilian player on planet Earth is going to be, knocking down the doors to be here. But like, we've seen young Argentinians take some pretty sweet deals to play with Messi. It would be nice if another young Brazilian player, maybe not even in Brazil, maybe they got their career started somewhere else, is looking for a move and goes, hey, U22 deal to go to Cincinnati. FCC may be more willing to spend, a transfer fee for a young phenom, a young up and comer from Brazil who wants that last chance to play with Neymar before Neymar retires. Like, again, this is like how you build that. And there is absolutely a world where you sign a big star like this and you just sit on your hands and you just wait for all the money to come in, and then they leave and nothing happens. And if that is what happens, you have every right to criticize that team. We saw this with Montreal and Didier Drogba. Sign a global superstar, comes over, they don't do anything, the club doesn't grow anywhere. But if you sign that player and you develop that reputation and you build it and you build it and you build it, you can end up in a situation where it's easy to pitch the next superstar of, hey, come play for the club that had Neymar. Come play for the club that had, this player and that player and that player. Like, LA Galaxy may not be the most attractive team in MLS right now, but they can turn around and say, this is Latan's team. This is Chicharito's team. This is David Beckham's team. And that helps.
But even with that, LA Galaxy at the end of the day can always sell LA too.
Yes.
The fact that they have all that is great.
Yes.
They can always say, come live in LA. Miami can always say, come live in Miami. It's harder to do that with Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Until someone like Neymar decides to say, yeah, no, I'll play there. Like, I'm sure the first person that was like, yeah, I'll go live in Manchester.
Yeah.
I'm sure that was a little weird.
Yes.
But like, eventually it becomes a thing. Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't a global icon and a global superstar? Why wouldn't someone come and live in basically the Pittsburgh of England? Like, why not? Well, it's a thing now. It's not the mental hurdle has been cleared.
Yeah.
And for Cincinnati, that can't say you're living in LA, that can't say you're living in Miami, at some point, eventually you got to do something that sort of changes the narrative around the club. And, it's funny. Okay, before I go into this next bit, let's pause right here. What odds would you put on this deal getting done? Because everything about this seems that it's very preliminary. I did some digging on this or talked to some people on this, and it's real. Everything that you're reading online about this is real. Like, shockingly, most of the reporting is pretty accurate on this from what I've been able to gather. There has not been, an official there has not been an official team meeting with Neymar, but Neymar's camp is pushing for one.
Yeah,
well, it's not the FC that is pushing for the meeting. It's Neymar's camp that's pushing for the meeting, from what I'm told, which is very interesting. So based on that, with the what I'm going to represent is that I've asked around, and this seems like what we're seeing in the media is pretty accurate on this. What odds do you put on this happening?
So this is, I'll explain my reasoning, and then I'll give you your answer. Okay. I think after his debacle in the Middle East, Neymar needed to prove to a lot of people that he still had it. I don't know how much he had left in the tank. I don't know how healthy he could be. And I don't even know if he knew the answers to that, but he needed to prove himself. And that's why he went back to his childhood club. And I think for the most part, he has proved it again. And I think with that in mind, he is curious and exploring the idea of what leaving Brazil and doing something else with whatever he has left, what that might look like. I assume that bridge is gone in Europe, but not necessarily. And I think MLS has slowly but surely positioned itself as a place to accept these guys. Sure, there's something to be said for like guys at the end of their career who were legends, sure. But I think with Messi and Son and Muller showing up, they're sort of showing that there's a higher level to the caliber of player that is coming over, and also how much they have left in the tank before they come back. Like Messi had offers from PSG and Barcelona. Muller probably could have played for any other team in Germany that wasn't Bayern Munich. And I think if he wanted to go back to Bayern Munich, he probably could have made it happen. Son had offers in Europe. Like he wasn't sort of like forced into retirement in MLS. He was still an effective player with Spurs. I think Spurs might take him back.
Right.
I think with all of that, I think MLS offers an interesting project to Neymar, particularly if he makes the World Cup squad and does well in the World Cup in the United States. I think he has seen what Messi has done. I think he's seen what these other guys have done. I think he wants a part of that. And I think if he's going to do that, he wants to go to a team that has the sporting side figured out. I think we're one of the top handful that seems to have the sporting side figured out. We have, as far as we can tell, #world-class facilities. I think that's appealing. I think with all of that, I put this at like 20% that this happens. That may be high, that may be low. I don't know. But like, it feels right. I guess the only tricky thing is, and the part that I just can't know is like how this works with a transfer deal or making Santos whole, how this works with the designated player situation, impending, rule changes. Does the league help out FC Cincinnati? Not unlike they helped out with Messi, which, like I said, like Neymar isn't Messi, but he's pretty damn close to that global superstar reach. I don't know, but they also aren't selling the season pass as its own separate thing. So I don't know how many tools they have in the toolbox. Does Apple want this? I don't know, but 20% feels right now.
They do have a big tool in the toolbox, and that's that they can. And I think they did this in LA with Son, where what MLS and Apple have the ability to do is they can go and they can make sure, they can sell a package of games into regular television in certain markets. So I think the way it works out is that in South Korea, LAFC games are televised in South Korea. You don't need an Apple TV subscription to watch LAFC matches so that they can watch Son over there. Yeah. And one of the tools that I think that they could use in this situation, I'm not saying that you would have Apple's buy-in on this, but what I think would be something that they would look at was, with Neymar, what if we sell FC Cincinnati games in Brazil? And FC Cincinnati games are on some sort of a television package in Brazil as part of our efforts to, number one, grow MLS as a presence in South America, and also to let Brazilians watch Neymar down there. And then that is the type of thing then that, then it's like, hey, come up to MLS. Your games are all on TV down in your home country. You can increase your profile and increase your exposure down there. And then at that point, then whatever that value is, then Neymar gets a cut of that as part of his payment from the league. That if the league gets however many $1 million a year for Brazilian TV rights, or a couple million a year, that Neymar takes a portion of that, with the idea being that like, oh, this is a way to grow things down there. So I think that's certainly something that you would look at doing with Neymar right there. I don't know what number I would put on this. 20% feels high at this point. Yeah. Like this feels a little more in like because even a 10% chance that this works out feels astronomically higher than I would have expected for FC Cincinnati. You know who I think is going to be the biggest issue here? I think the biggest issue is going to be getting the sporting side sold on this. And I think that if you want to be like monitoring the situation on things, this is very much it feels on its surface. This does not feel like a Chris Albright move. I don't see Albright making a move like this. Nothing about this from his Philly background would lead me to believe that's something that they want to do.
Yeah.
And, you're bringing in someone into the clubhouse and into the team facility who is unquestionably, the moment he walks in, the biggest deal in the club. Not the general manager, not the manager. To a certain degree, the owner's a billionaire. Neymar's still got enough clout to walk into a billionaire's office and be like, I don't like what's going on around here. Right. He's that level of player. And we've seen this in Miami where, it's Lionel Messi calling the shots because there's nobody involved in that organization that's bigger than Lionel Messi, like not even David Beckham, for that matter. Yeah. If you're a general manager, I don't know that I want that walking in the front door, especially if you're not telling me that this person is guaranteed to help me win trophies. If you're saying that he's going to be a good player, maybe bordering on great, but there's also going to be some significant injury risks. We're not certain how he's going to hold up over a MLS schedule. But what we do know is that he will massively change the financial fortunes of this club, that there will be opportunities that we never would have experienced otherwise. If you're Chris Albright, are you confident that you survive long enough in this brave new environment to reap the fruits of that labor? And I think that more than anything else will be the interesting thing to monitor on this, because I could very much see a situation where Albright and Noonan look at this and we want no part of this. And then what happens would be the interesting question, because if you are ownership on this club, and when I say ownership, I am not referring specifically to Jeff Birding in this. I'm referring to the people that are really signing the checks, the Meg Whitmans and the Meg Whitmans and the Carl Linders on this. Yeah. If you are being told as ownership that you have the ability to get this player who will make you scads of money if you leverage it correctly, but that your sporting guy on your soccer side is opposed to it because it doesn't make the team better or doesn't make the team as good as maybe using that designated player spot elsewhere might be, or doesn't offer you the same level of certainty as using that designated player spot elsewhere might offer, I think you're setting yourself up for a confrontation that could be a little difficult for some people.
I would understand and respect that. I would just offer this advice if I were a general manager or to a general manager in this position, which is, it is a risky proposition in both ways. You can't be the general manager who says, no, Neymar isn't good enough for our project or isn't the right fit for our project. You had damn well better do something like win trophies or unearth diamonds on top of diamonds in the rough,
right? Because
the second you
literally dig up diamonds, like one of the other.
That would be very helpful. That would be very, very helpful. But to say no thanks, and then miss the playoffs or barely scrape into the playoffs, you'd be like, hey man, you're fired. That was, not only did you say no to the guaranteed moneymaker, you did nothing with whatever you ended up bringing in anyway. The other thing is, I would certainly try to have this conversation with ownership, which is, all right, I'll play by your rules here, but I need a longer leash. You cannot hold the next season and a half on my shoulders if this blows up. If it goes right, then I'm a brilliant general manager, and I'll tell everybody I'm the guy who brought in Neymar. But if it goes wrong, it's because you put this on me, and I need more time to dig out of the hole that you put us in. Maybe ownership hates that conversation, but I think in a good partnership, a good relationship, they have to understand hey, I'm forcing you to do this. I understand that this has the ingredients to explode, but also there is the chance, and I think a pretty good chance, that Neymar is a very good player and he plays well with Kevin Denkey and he plays well, particularly with Evander. And you put a young guy up there like Ender Echenique, and all of a sudden you have an attacking four that is better than anything this league has ever put together.
Right. Or you sell a couple of these players and you bring in some younger Brazilian stars that Neymar is like, hey, this guy's reached out to me and says he wants to play here. And all of a sudden you're upgrading as well. Yeah. I look, if you're Chris Albright, you're right to be worried about this. But I think that if you're also Chris Albright, you've gotten to this point in your career and you've gotten to be in charge of an MLS club as a general manager because you're pretty savvy. And you're pretty good at like reading the room and reading the situation and reading people. And if you're Chris Albright right here, the answer to this question is we have a chance to sign Neymar. Got it. It's going to be the conversation you have then at that point is not, hey, I'm against this and, this and like, I'm doing this against my will. The conversation is, OK, that's going to come with some significant risks and some significant challenges. If we are going to do that, here else are the things we're going to need to do in order to make this as successful as possible.
Yeah,
I would like to do that for you. And I would like my contract extended because this is going to be more work than just about any other project. We have to get this right and we have to have stability. So, yeah, I'm your man. Just, maybe I'd like to be your man for like 3 more years than my contract currently is slated for, because I want to be able to enjoy the post Neymar era where we have all this money and we're not forced to build around Neymar.
Yes. I think too, ownership needs to be prepared for, like you alluded to it, the hard conversations with Neymar when he walks in and goes, no, this training facility is not up to speed. The culinary options not up to my standards. Hey, you guys aren't doing this in the stadium. You need to be doing that. Like there's going to be costs associated with keeping this player or a player of this caliber. Maybe it's not even Neymar. Maybe 3, 4, 5 years from now, it's the next superstar that we're swinging for the fences for. And bring him in.
Right.
And you've got to be willing to, make some modifications and upgrades and changes to the organization and to literally the facilities and the personnel in order to facilitate that. And if you're not prepared to do that, then it also increases the risk of this all blowing up in your face. So,
right. What I have heard is that there's the persistent like talk online and the rumors about that they've exchanged information. Mm-hmm. What I've heard that is that there have been the communications to Neymar's camp have been, tell us a little bit more about what Neymar would need or what he would be looking for beyond just salary to make his stay here.
Okay.
And what I have heard as well, and take this for what it's worth, is that nothing's been a deal breaker.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's good to hear.
Now, the other thing to remember about this too is that, and again, I'm trying to keep this conversation sort of like it's so far away from happening. But things like this can move quickly and all of a sudden it's here, or it can fall apart and it's not here. What I do know is that there's some pretty good reporting as well that this is not the first time Neymar has flirted with MLS, and that Chicago Fire were pretty far down the line. They thought they were pretty far down the line negotiating with Neymar, I want to say last year. And I think I read or I forget where I saw this, but they actually sent Greg Berhalter down to talk to him, and Berhalter kind of got blown off from what I remember seeing or what I heard. Yeah. So, so I don't know. This isn't the first time he's done this. Maybe I think it's so early in the process. There's a lot that could go wrong. Yeah. So maybe the best way to wrap this up, Kevin, is, do you want this to happen? Would you be happy to wake up to the news sometime in mid-June, late June during the World Cup break, wake up to news that Neymar and FC Cincinnati have agreed to a move in principle, and he will be moving to FC Cincinnati following the World Cup as a TAM or a GAM player for the remainder of the year, moving to a designated player spot, starting with the sprint schedule and beyond. Would you be happy with that announcement?
I'd be elated. I would be so excited and happy. I am rooting for this one because I think he can contribute to this team, and I think it would make this team on the field better than it is currently right now. And two, I really want to prove everybody wrong that says superstars won't come to Cincinnati. I think this would be the feather in the cap to fight that narrative. And three, I think, this would set up a nice future for FC Cincinnati that, sure, maybe there's a guy playing in Serbia right now that may be a better fit at left wing. But if you can sign Neymar, I think the future is brighter for FC Cincinnati with him than almost anybody else out there.
All right, I'm going to change the hypothetical just slightly.
Okay.
Would you be excited to wake up to the news sometime in June that FC Cincinnati have reached a deal to acquire Neymar from Brazil, from Santos in Brazil, and that he is coming to FC Cincinnati as a designated player, and in a corresponding move, Kevin Denkey has been sold to name your place in Europe?
Oh,
does that change the calculus if that's what it takes?
I hate that. Like, trade Miles Robinson to Montreal. Not Denkey, not Evander, please. There's another designated player that is more easily replaceable than Denkey or Evander. And I understand the team's not doing well. Everybody has criticisms at those guys. I really don't think either one of them is the problem. Anybody else, please. If that's the news, I'll accept it. I will in time learn to love it. But man, like, then you need to replace that position. And I'm not saying you can't, but suddenly you got to fill that role. Or if it's Evander moving on, then you got to fill that role, because you can't expect Neymar to be the playmaker in the middle of the field at this age. Like, that's too much to replace. But a center back, like if it's Miles Robinson right now, would be okay. Like, we won't be a better team, but like, we'll be okay if the trade-off is you give me Neymar. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
we also don't know what the roster rules are going to look like. That I tend to believe that you can add Neymar without losing any of the designated players on this club, just because I don't think I am hoping that the club knew what they were doing with this Miles Robinson deal, and that he will not be a designated player under the new rule set, whatever they are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's the new rule set won't kick in until next year, regardless. Like, there's not a version of this where they go, all right, new rules, none of the DPs count anymore. Like,
no. The earliest this will all change is the sprint season, I think. And it might not even change till 2027. They might, or till the first full season in the fall schedule. Who knows?
Or like a weird half step towards the eventual rule. Yeah.
So I don't know. But what a story, man! Like the how far around the world this made it, and the outlets that this drew attention from, is just sort of emblematic of like why this is such a big deal. Like, you've got every sporting source that covers soccer had this story. It bled into things like the New York Post covered and picked this story up, and just there is such incredible value for being seen as a club that has that ambition level. You know what the funny thing about this is, and this is maybe like a good way to close on this, is that if you want to feel good about FC Cincinnati, and it's tough to feel good about FC Cincinnati a lot of the time this year, but if you want to feel good about FC Cincinnati, when the news broke, everyone was like immediately moved to the merits. And it wasn't so much the, oh my God, Cincinnati, really? You got some of that. But it wasn't totally that. Contrast that to the news when like there was reporting and rumors that the Cristiano Ronaldo was going to move to Sporting Kansas City.
Right.
And it was immediately like, this is a joke.
Yeah. LOL.
And I understand that like there are levels to this, and Ronaldo is probably on a level, well, not even probably, is on a level in terms of fame and background that is higher than, Neymar. Not by that much.
No.
And in terms of how the rumors were treated, very, very different reaction. And I think that speaks a lot to sort of the ambition FC Cincinnati has shown, and the fact that, I mean, they do big things like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Certainly anybody who has been following MLS since Messi has arrived. So for a lot of the global audience, that's,
2
most
years
of them.
Yeah.
We have certainly been the villain club to Miami, or one of the only like consistent rivals to Miami at the top of the table. LAFC has certainly been up there as well. Don't get me wrong, but they're chock full of superstars. So if it was LAFC doing this, absolutely, you'd probably gotten similar reactions, which again, kind of speaks to like what a move like this does to these major markets. And it puts FC Cincinnati in that spot that they otherwise can't get just based on, geography alone. So I like that we're swinging for the fences. I like that we're involved in these conversations, and I want to see it happen, man. Like, I'm rooting for this.
Yeah, same.
I guess we got to talk about this game now, huh?
Yeah, well, back to reality. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, enough about Neymar. Let's talk about the 1-1 draw at Toronto. You think that helped or hurt the Neymar deal?
Hopefully he skips this part of the
Let's
podcast.
talk about it in part 2. Yeah. Let's talk about it in part 2, though.
Hi, I'm doing this ad because my dad said it was cheaper than paying intern Luke. If you like FC Cincinnati and you're still listening to this stupid podcast, you might also like the stuff that is for sale on the Post website. There are some designs on there that are pretty neat, and some that needed a little more work. There is even a reversible bucket hat that says Noonan out on one side and Noonan in on the other side, which I've been told to say is very funny. If you even buy something, Chief might even release away days. Go to thepostcincy.com and click merch. Or don't. That's okay too. Okay, thanks, bye.
All right, we are back. If you skip to this point, hey, don't blame you, but boy, you skipped a lot. Okay, so just know that. Chief, it was a early afternoon affair in Toronto. It was a fairly uneventful game right up until about the 70th minute, and then all hell broke loose.
Right. Yeah, it was the perfect 1:00 game where it was just kind of lazy, sleepy. Like, it was a good, if you really aren't like a sicko that like loves this team, and if you're not, what's wrong with you? But if you're not like a sicko that loves this team, it's like fall asleep on the couch style action for the majority of this game. And it was the right time for fall asleep on the couch. And if you did that, you could have just rolled your nap right into the Masters afterwards. Like, you could have had a great fall asleep on the couch day. They were just, it was set up perfectly for you right there. So I started this game off mad. And I got madder as I went along. And by the end of it, I wasn't mad. I was just sort of like amused. Like, it was a non-angry, just sort of like, dude, the universe is just hilarious by the end of this.
Yeah. So
I gotta ask at the start on this, what was the point of last week? Like, what was the point of a one-time let's play 4 at the back, and then when we don't have our starting goalkeeper in, we're missing our designated player center back, half the team's been away on international duty, we do it, and then it's like, oh, psych, back to the back 3 again, back to the pile. Like, what am I missing here?
So the only thing I could pick out is based on sort of like reading between the lines on the broadcast, and I guess I got pretty close to just saying this explicitly, but is in their conversations with Pat Noonan, that's the part I don't think they said out loud, that they came to the conclusion that the back four was specifically a matchup versus Red Bull decision and not necessarily the new identity of the club, that this is a club in the bag, so to speak, to just continue to lean on the Masters.
Right. A tradition unlike any other.
Yes. That this was an option for them, but it wasn't necessarily going to be the new identity. And that's where that came from. Now, to your point, kind of insane time to just bust that out and then to just not try it again. But
right.
Okay. I thought there was plenty to look at from the offense that was good. There was some defensive mistakes or lapses, but like you could understand that. And I think we were very understanding of that, given that it was new and all the other mitigating circumstances around the game. Now, some of them go away. Some of them are still there. Robinson still hurt. You know, he was out with the red card, but you got your starting goalkeeper back and you got everybody else has been there all week. And sure, you're missing Alvis Powell for a red card, but Kyle Smith is still available. And for me, they're very similar players. So I don't know. Like, I don't know what the thought was here.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it's hard for me to get fired up about this game. Mm-hmm. Just because like last week it was, okay, we're looking at something different. We're trying something different. There was, I thought, some sort of tacit acknowledgement that what we have been doing doesn't work. Yeah. And so, we'll try something different. And did the defense suck? Yeah, the defense sucked, but the team looked goal dangerous, which isn't always the case with this team. They won the XG battle. They generated a lot of really high scoring chances in this game, and they were doing something different. And part of the frustration here as a top line takeaway is, okay, we're back to the 3-5-2. And oh, look, here we are again, generating under 1 XG of offense. The passing map is the typical horseshoe of doom around the back. We're not really doing much of anything. We generate like maybe 2 or 3 good scoring chances. We get our goal and we get a point. Woo. Like this is the same thing I have watched for now going on 18 months, maybe longer. And I don't know, man, like I can be happy they got a point on the road. Points on the road are fine. Okay. But like nothing is changed. Nothing has changed. This was the 2025 blueprint, which was also the 2024 blueprint. And I don't know. It's the same. There's not a lot to say about it. It's the same tired 3-5-2 formation that very few teams in this league run for a reason. Like very, very few. Like I think there's 3 teams in MLS that play a back 3 or right now play 3 at the back.
That feels right. Yeah.
And they all suck. It's LA and it's Dallas and it's us, I think, are the only 3 teams that do this. Maybe Houston, but like, I don't know. What am I missing here? Am I missing something? Like this is if you loved FC Cincinnati last year, boy, did this probably just tickle you in the jimmies, I guess. I don't know.
It's just so weird because like we talked about like, okay, you could do a 4-3-3, but it probably looks better with Dotto available instead of Barlow. And that was on the table today, and we don't get to see that. And like,
and they tease you a little bit here. They've got like Hagelin playing out. There are times in possession on this game where it looked like a back 4 where you had Hagelin out wide, and you could see it with just 2 center backs playing in the middle. Yeah. And they were pushing them up. They were pushing Hagelin further up the field, like almost like a quasi right back type situation. But like the end of the day, it's the same shit, man. And you can forgive problems and bad play if they're trying something new. If it's the same stuff over and over again, it's like, well, what's going to change until something is forced to be changed here?
Yeah. And, not to bring up part one, but like maybe this looks different with a better, second striker alongside Denkey. That maybe the offense opens up a little bit more with that. But like Barlow has a great opportunity in this game to take the lead early, which is frustrating because you just want to see that. And he does okay with it. The defender does very well with it. It's an okay save. But man, you would have liked to have seen more there. But yeah, what does it look like there with Brenner instead of Barlow? What does it look like there with just a much higher quality attacker or younger, faster attacker there? I don't know. And to your point about the center backs going out wide, that's fine. But make Kyle Smith do that. Somebody who I can trust to run and be out on the side there a little bit more, that has shown that before, unless the plan is going forward Nick Hagelin is a right back, which if that's the case, just do that. Why are you making him do this other thing? So that was a little weird. And yeah, I do think that Echenike is a great attacking talent, and I think he would be great on offense, but he has to split half of his time playing defense. So you are taking, I guess, your third best attacker, fourth best attacker, depending on how you view Ramirez, and tying one hand behind his back or one foot behind his back instead of letting him just stay up more. It's very weird. But then again, to your point, if this is what we're going to do, fine. But got to get results. You got to be banging in goals. You got to be keeping goals out. And the Flores own goal is tough. He definitely should have knocked it out of bounds or something instead of just dribbling it back into the net. It's a weird play. It's right after Toronto makes a bunch of subs. But man, you got to keep that ball out of the net. Oh, it's just tough, man.
Yeah.
What made last year what made last year okay was that they got the results. So you can't give me the slop and not give me the result with results. It. So.
Right. I mean, and it was set up for a result too. Georgi Mihailovic is out for an extended amount of time for Toronto. So this lineup that they field, it's got Josh Sargent in it, but it's missing a lot of teeth. They're missing that, that creative playmaker in the middle of it that would help the engine go to a certain extent. And
yeah,
it was a dull affair in the first half. And, the sad part is after conceding 18 goals in 4 matches, dull is an improvement. They're not leaking and falling behind real early. I don't know. All right. So next thing I want to talk about, before we get to the goals, there's an own goal. What's up with Kevin Denkey, man? I don't know. That was bad. And I get that he was probably frustrated because, when you watch Kevin Denkey get played, he does seem to get played pretty physically, most of these games. I'd also point out that he seems to lose a lot of those physical duels as well. I rarely see Kevin Denkey actually manage to outmuscle a guy to get a ball. It's rare that happens. He does seem to be the victim of a lot of people that when he tries to get physical, they flop and he gets a call on him as well. He gets that a lot. That was about as stunning a lack of composure as I've seen from an FC Cincinnati player in a minute. He gets maybe fouled, but it isn't called I think it was in the box too, or it was just right outside the box. So
it was in the box. Yeah.
So he's, he goes down looking for contact in the box and just, for whatever reason, he's got to know at this point, he doesn't get those calls. He just doesn't. And I don't know how he starts to get those calls. Maybe the fact that he looks like, Big Papa Pump from Africa. Maybe that's part of the problem here, is that he just looks like he's too strong to be going down on this kind of contact. I don't know. But like he goes down. He gets mad that a call wasn't given. For some reason, he takes his cleat off because, like, when you watch the replay, like the first thing I saw when they show him holding his cleat was like, oh my God, did they really miss a call where somebody like stepped on his boot and like he came completely out of his shoes? No, like the tackle didn't result in his cleat coming off, but somehow his cleat ends up off and he, loses his mind on the official, throws his shoe down. Like, he's complaining about a President George W. Bush press conference and gets yellow carded for dissent.
Yeah.
Bad, but okay, fine, whatever. I get that, you lose your cool. But then he gets baited into contact about the neck, shoulders, and head. And I'm assuming that's what happened because the Zapruder film quality footage that Apple showed is impossible to know anything about. But then he gets yellowed a second time right there and gets a red. And it's like, what are we doing here, man? Come on. You're $17 million. You are supposed to be the best player on this team. Like, this is like, these are games and these are moments where the team needs you to do something spectacular to get a point on the road or get points on the road. And you get yourself sent off for quite literally two incidents or two activities that did nothing in the game. You weren't trying hard for a challenge. You weren't like zealously attempting to win the game and picked up a yellow or going in late for a challenge, but were trying your hardest to get this done. You picked up 2 yellows doing dumb shit and cost your team. And that is so insanely frustrating given the lack of production we've gotten out of him this year. Yeah,
he could use the day off. I think it certainly doesn't help the team's chances. The guys behind him on the depth chart are not as good as him, and that's not even remotely a cold take.
No,
but you got to see more out of him. I do think he gets refereed very differently in this league. It's very frustrating. It's very reminiscent of when Obi first came into the league, and still somehow his reputation, even though he's not quite that same player. But yeah, like whenever he does win the ball, it's a foul. And whenever he goes down, it's not a foul because he's too strong. He shouldn't have gone down there. So it's like, I don't know what he is supposed to do to get a fair call. And I'm half tempted to even just say, like, I don't know that he did anything wrong on the second card because I can't see it. Like, I don't know how anybody saw it. The only thing I can go off of is he doesn't protest that much. Although, given everything that had happened up to that moment, I'm really glad he didn't protest that much because it feels like if he had,
is there a card beyond red he could have gotten there? Is there like a magenta card or like a purple card that he could get at that point?
I mean, we've seen it with Noonan and Miles Robinson. All of a sudden, like they'll just throw on a couple extra games. Just
I'm waiting for that they're going to give him a game because it was contact about the head and neck, and he'll get an extra game for this. I guarantee you that's going to happen here.
I don't know how they're going to prove that. Like the weird skybox footage, the satellite Google Earth view that they gave us. It could have just as easily been hitting that guy in the chest. There's just because he grabs his face tells me nothing because every single player falls down grabbing their face. So if
it could be lens, it could be lens distortion too. We've heard that before.
I think it's atmosphere distortion. The distance that we're talking, I think there are layers of cloud and water vapor that we are seeing through. It may very well be a mirage. There might not have even been a player there. Was
Denkey playing at all? Plus, according to Zeno's motion paradox, there's no way he ever made contact with him in the first place.
Yeah, he can't. He can't.
No, can't.
So I don't know that I'm ready to necessarily judge him on that second call.
Yeah, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated by Denkey, and it's like, you got to be smarter here in this situation. Yes. That doesn't mean, when I say that, it doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that I don't understand.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah. Because on one hand, you had what was Larea on Toronto, where the match official is basically giving him his own personal foul counter. Like, you fouled him too many times. Whoever fouls him next will receive a yellow card. And Brian Ramirez, for like the most inconsequential contact you can imagine, gets a yellow card for fouling this one person, because this one person specifically has the ref watching out for him. Where I've never seen that ever happen to an FC Cincinnati player. Like, oh, you have fouled Kevin Denkey or Lucho or whoever too many times. The next person that touches this man will receive a card regardless of circumstance. Come on. So I get that he's frustrated by that. And I get that he's on a team and that we, for whatever reason, we chose to sign a target man, fox in the box, striker who needs, service around the goal to be effective, and then we didn't sign anyone that can provide him service or indeed draft a game plan that seems designed to provide him service. And we're just basically telling him, go out there and get into, hockey style fights with people for position, absorb contact, never get calls, never score goals. Yeah, I can imagine that there's probably some frustration boiling over, especially with results not going well. But I understand you can't do that shit, though. I'm sorry. Like, you are paid too much money to self-disqualify yourself from games in this sort of circumstance.
Yeah, it's also third game in a row now with a red card for
Fourth.
FC Cincinnati.
I believe it's the fourth, right? Because we had a game before that. We had Alvis Powell, correct? In the game before that, we had
Miles Robinson.
The game before that was Dotto, right?
Yes. New England Revolution. Yes. Dotto gets a straight red, 69.
Straight red. So 4 consecutive. Here's a question for you.
Okay.
Is this a bad look for the coaching staff that they keep picking red cards up like this? Because I feel like even more than the losing, this is something where it's like, hold on here. Like, what's going on? It's
not good. On some of them, it's a little weird that they are reds. Like Miles Robinson's, it's not necessarily like a violent conduct thing. It's just like letter of the law. They have to give a red because they felt like he wasn't challenging for the ball necessarily, but it's not like he's hauling off and punching a guy. Dotto's, it's a straight up mistake. We would want it to be a red if it happened to us.
And it did happen. It did happen to us, to Evander, and it wasn't called, which is incredibly frustrating.
And Evander complained about it afterwards. It was after like a bad loss, but it was like, this still happened. Like, I need to stick up for myself here. So I think if it's
I'm sorry. It happened in this game. He got stomped on in this game. He got his foot stomped on, just like straight stomped. And I was like, I was told reliably that's a red every single time when Dotto did it. And not only a red, but also like an extra game worthy red on all this. Like,
of course,
like,
God, yeah. Whenever you hear somebody say, "Oh, well, that's always," it's just wrong. Like we've seen the opposite version of that every single time.
For every conduct you say is always a red. I can cite to an example where an FC Cincinnati player has not drawn a red for that thing happening to them.
Yes. But I would say if all of the red cards were of this Kevin Denkey variety, I would say absolutely there's an issue. Like there's a temperament issue. There's a coaching issue here. I'm not ready to say that. I think it's a really bad run of games, a really bad look from the team. I don't think that this necessarily reflects poorly on the coaching staff yet. What I will say reflects good on the coaching staff is that in this stretch, we have had maybe our most successful down a man run of form in club history.
Would it surprise you to learn, Kevin, that more than 50% of the points this team has earned this year have been earned with the club being down a man?
that is shocking, alarming, and very fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. What do you make of the fact this team just looks better down a man? Because I get to a certain extent, they seem to be picking up red cards late. Yeah. And that there's this natural inclination for teams that they get the red, they go ahead, and it's like, okay, we can see this one off. They've only got 10 men. We stop being as aggressive. And then we get into this mode where it's like, YOLO, we got nothing to lose. That doesn't really exist during the normal game state, but it is a little weird that this team seems to play better with fewer people on the field.
The funny thing is, like, in some ways, it validates the back three, because what it tells me is, hey, you guys don't need that extra attacker up there to be scoring goals.
Right.
Like, you can obviously do this without another guy. So you don't need a 4-3-3 to make this happen. I think part of it is like literally just the urgency. I think it's the guys coming off the bench who are fighting for positions. We see this with the goal for FC Cincinnati and this one, but it's like Kyle Smith is fighting for a goal in the last one. So I think we see a little bit of that. I also think too that this team works better counterattacking, and I don't know what it is about how they are set up right now. I'm not smart enough to identify it, but they are just not quick enough and decisive enough on counterattacks, or even in the right position. Maybe that's it, on counterattacks to, score goals, to be effective in that strategy.
This is kind of like when they say when a team is effective in the 2-minute drill and they're like, why don't they just run the 2-minute drill all the time?
Yes.
I'm a dumb fan. I think that all the time. Like, have they considered just pretending like they're down a man to start the game? Or like having one guy always off the field for treatment. Like, they can just do that. They can just rotate guys in and out, like give guys like a 2-minute break or a 5-minute break and just like have them coming on and off like it's a hockey sub.
Oh my
just,
God.
Somebody goes down, goes off, gets like a Gatorade, talks to Pat. They play with 10. He comes in. Somebody else goes out, sits down, talks to Pat, like comes back in. They can keep this going for an entire game and just play with 10 all the time.
I don't think there's a rule against it.
No,
I think that is totally viable. I think you have to field 11 to start. But I think once the game starts, you are more than welcome to have a dude sit off on the sideline.
I mean, it worked in Escape to Victory, where they had Pele off the field in that movie for like the majority of the second half because they didn't want to sub him out because then he couldn't come back in and they needed him to beat the Nazis. If it was a winning strategy and it beat the Nazis, who's to say it can't work for us?
I think it's unpatriotic to not try it with that.
It's pro-Nazi to do otherwise.
I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you went there. That is absolutely what's happening.
Yeah, that's right. I don't get it. I have no explanation for what is going on, for what is happening. It does not make sense. I don't get it.
Well, Chief, speaking of not making sense, I would like to offer you the opportunity to beg forgiveness from Kenji Mboma Dem.
I will not. All right. In your time not covering, but like we've been running this podcast for a minute now. Like the episode count's getting kind of high. Has there been a more unlikely goal combination in game state setup that in late in the match, like in stoppage time, this was a stoppage time goal, I believe, right? Like 92nd minute.
2 minutes into stoppage time when this goal happens.
All right. So in stoppage time, in a game where we have scored an own goal to put ourselves down by 1, and we are down a man, and the goal is scored by Ayub Jabari assisting Kenji Mboma Dem. Is this just by vibes the most unlikely FC Cincinnati goal of all time?
I want to say
that
yes.
it's scored by a backup striker or assisted by a backup striker, passing to a 15th round MLS super draft pick, whose highest level of soccer is playing at Dayton.
I'm trying to think, like, did Zico Bailey ever score like a real late goal in like an absolute blowout like that? That feels
it's like that kind of vibe, right? Yeah, it's like this is very much like, like Pat McMahon assists Zico Bailey on a goal, or like
damn, yeah, like it's I don't think you're gonna find like a weirder, more unlikelier goal like that.
Like a weirder or more unlikely goal than
for one now, just for fun.
But like, I guarantee that whatever you find is not going to involve like a 6'6" giant human running at full speed down the sideline and then nutmegging a pass to, again, a guy from the University of Dayton who one times had passed a goalkeeper while down a man on the road after conceding an own goal.
Yeah, like even just like scrolling through some of these 2020 games, like every goal is scored by like Brandon Vasquez.
Like Chris Gaddis, I don't think he scored a goal that season. That would be one you could
combine Ray Gaddis and Chris Duval.
Chris Duval, yeah, sorry. Chris Duval, that was who I was thinking of.
Man, here's the comparable one. Because I think this was, as far as I'm concerned, the last sporting moves either one of these players made. 2019, Game 2, Kenny Saif assists Roland Lamah for the draw at Atlanta. There you go.
Okay,
that's the only comparable one I got.
That's got to be it, yeah. I think Jonas still talks about that goal, like being in like Mercedes-Benz for that goal.
We looked like we might never lose again.
And then we lost a lot after that.
I don't know how often Kenny Saif even played after that. Like, I don't think he started ever.
The safety
Maybe
dance.
He started at New England, but yeah. Jeez.
Ayub Jabari nutmegs a defender to pass to Kenji Mboma Dem.
It's such a good play.
It's a really good play. He's fast. Like Ayub is like sneaky fast with it.
And good with the ball at his feet. Like, should he be a winger? Are we sleeping on Jabari as winger? Like,
yeah. Should he be a wingback? Jabari the wingback.
Jabari at like left wing back could be fun.
I mean, there's a lot of birds with big ass wings. I mean, maybe he's more of a condor than a hawk, but like that still has wings.
Condors,
I don't know.
Absurd wingspans. That's great. Yeah. I love this.
Ayub the pterodactyl Jabari, like big ass wings, like.
That's what every soccer player wants to be compared to.
Yeah. How bad does Jabari look in practice that like he does this in games and still doesn't even get a sniff of a starting role?
Here's the thing. There is clearly a disconnect between the games and training because
no shit. Because if they look like this in training, like people would be losing their jobs. I would think.
But like Dado, game playing Dado is I guess a radically different human being than training Dado. Maybe that is the case with Jabari. Maybe that is the case with like Teenage Hadebi, that like he looks amazing in training and it doesn't quite connect on the field. Like, I don't know what is going on between the two there. I don't get it, man. Like, this team is so weird. Where
I think what I need I think what I need at this point is I know it's weird how protective soccer coaches are of what practice looks like and what training looks like. I'm at the point now where I got to know what training looks like. Like, I need some like Hard Knocks behind the scenes footage, or I just need I need a camera on a pole that's just looking down at the field for training. So I want to know what they're doing, because they don't seem to be getting any better at breaking a high press. They were high pressed to death in the first half of this game and seemed to have like no answer whatsoever, which, again, welcome to every year of FC Cincinnati over the last couple of years. So there was no answer for the high press. I would like to see what like breaking a high press looks like in practice. Are they practicing it? Like, who is performing the high press? Are they getting like, maybe it's time to bring in some like really energetic college kids and say, your only goal is we're going to put 15 of you on the field. And that 11 has to break 15 college kids, where they're just being told to run at the person with the ball the entire time. I don't know. What does it look like? What are we doing? Like when they're working on, when they got Dotto on the field, like, is he just like sitting and picking flowers like the kid in your 6-year-old soccer team that doesn't like actually try? Is that what's going on right here? Like, I want to know now, because like there's something happening at practice that doesn't seem like it's working on the field or translating on the field.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it would be really fun to see more training footage. They don't need to give away all the strategies to the other team, but like I would love a little bit more so that like I could be a more informed fan, right? And I can say, oh yeah, no, he struggles in, these looks. We saw him out there in that video and he looked lost as hell. Like, yeah, makes sense he's not out there or whatever it is.
Like we post the video or like the picture of like who won the transfer game. I would just like someone training to ask Pat Noonan just straight up, like, so tell me what the transfer game is like showing you about this team. Or like, have you noticed a correlation between good performance in the transfer game and good performance on the field? And if the answer to that question is no, why are we doing it? Why do we care? Is there something more productive we could use with our practice time, like learning how to break a high press?
I appreciate how much the team and the players care about the transfer game, but like, if it is just a camaraderie team building activity, like,
then go play Mario Kart, man. Like, yeah. I don't know, man.
There's 100 things you could be doing as well. Like,
all right. So, what do you want me to? What do you want me to say about Kenji Mboma Dem? Like, you tell me what you want me to say here in this space.
I would like you to say that he performed so well in his brief stint in offense that you would like to see more of him.
I'm trying to put this into my own words. I'm working on this.
Okay. I can always go back to AI Chief if I need to. It's not coming to me right now. Oh no.
He had a very nice play. It was a very nice goal scoring opportunity. He had he had a nice ball, like a switch of play across field. That was a very nice pass. I just refuse to believe an MLS quality player was found at the University of Dayton. I don't think that's ever going to happen. And I'm not going to believe it until like I am forced to confront it, like Clockwork Orange style, with my eyes being forced open. If he was good, he wouldn't be at Dayton. They would not have found him at Dayton.
Chief, there's a chance he starts this weekend. Well,
then boy, will I have another like, look, every time I open my mouth, I sound stupid. And this will be just like the latest opportunity for me to be proven to be incredibly stupid about evaluating the sport of soccer. But as a guiding principle, I am going to be grounded by the fact that if you were playing soccer in the Atlantic 10, I feel confident in predicting that there's sort of levels to like what you can achieve at MLS. That's just a guiding fact.
Then let me compromise it with this. Let me hear that you are rooting for him.
Wait, hold on. I really need to look at what conference Xavier was in when Nick Hagland played there.
It was probably
Shit.
Now, sometimes the Olympic sports are in slightly different conferences.
Oh, no. When did Xavier join the Big East? Oh, fuck. Okay. All right. I'm gonna revise my opinion. I think it is very unlikely that you're going to find a MLS quality player playing in the current iteration of the Atlantic 10 post realignment in 2013 when Xavier joined the Big East.
It helps you a little bit that Nick Hagland was also in the Big East.
He was for 1 year. For 1 year, I think. Did he make it there?
I think 20.
Oh yeah, his last year he was in the Big East. That's right. Nick Hagland was a Big East player, and he will always be a Big East player. Power conference, baby.
Oh gosh. But no, you could just say that you're rooting for Kenji Mboma Dem.
I'm rooting for Kenji Mboma Dem. Like, okay. I'm rooting for him to do well. I'm rooting for all our players to do well. I'm rooting for Dado to do well. I'm rooting for Ayub to do well. Nothing would make me happier than if, like, that Kenji, Ayub, Dado, like, that the youth movement led us forward. Okay, that's me experiencing growth right here. As I'm saying, I would be okay with young players playing. Like, I'll meet you weirdos halfway and say I'm okay with that. I don't want to be a team that relies on youth players, but if they get us out of what we're in right now, I will happily tolerate it. Yeah.
Speaking of rooting for players, but maybe making predictions against them. Last little storyline here I have for us is I got some flack in the preseason for setting the over under at Matt Miazga's MLS minutes for FC Cincinnati at 100 minutes.
Yeah, that was dumb on your part.
He is currently at 240 minutes, out with a groin injury.
It's twice as many as you thought he was going to play. Over twice as many. Almost.
Okay. If we're going percentages, sure. If we're going raw numbers, that's pretty damn close. My question to you is, does he get 100 more minutes than 240 for the remainder of this season for FC Cincinnati in Major League Soccer?
Man,
it's tough.
Yes, but I'm not at all confident in that. Yes, I think maybe, but internally, I had the thought in my mind that Miazga had until the World Cup break to, like, show that this was moving in the right direction in terms of him regaining his foot speed.
Yeah,
it's Ken in the Discord pointed this out, and once you notice it, you just can't stop noticing it. Is that part of the problem with FC Cincinnati is that the back line, when Hagland and Miazga are out there, the foot speed is such a concern that they stay so far back that they open gaps up between the midfield and the back line that teams are able to break through. And that if you have better speed in your center backs, they can press further forward and not worry so much about being clipped from behind or not being able to make a recovery run. When this team was at its apex, when Miazga still had the gear that he could get into, and when Yerson Mosquera had, like, elite Premier League level speed, this team could push forward and could press the lines further up the field and not have to worry about getting tagged going back the other way. Like, when your back line is Mosquera and Miazga, doesn't really matter who the third guy is, they're going to be fine. You're going to have a recovery run to be made. This team is one of the fixes this team needs to have, even if it needs to get away from the back three, but if it doesn't get away from the back three, they desperately need to go find a center back that has more speed. And the thought I had is that, like, well, you can give Miazga until June to figure out if that's going to happen. And then that's a contract where the buyout looks pretty tempting because it's only for this year and you can get better quickly with the amount of cap money that becomes available if you buy out Miazga for the remainder of the year. So if this groin injury stretches 5 weeks, 6 weeks, which isn't, out of the question for these types of injuries. Is the groin injury specifically, or are they weird timelines? I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope not, but I don't know.
You've got 8 weeks between now, or 8 matches, I should say, between now and the World Cup break. I don't know. This is where Grayson would be extremely helpful. I don't know the language around season-ending injury designation, but that might be the sort of gentleman's agreement of, it's not a buyout. We're going to hit you with this tag, and that frees up our roster designation. You stay with us. We get you back up to speed. We rehab you. You get all of this year to rehab. Don't worry about the games. You hit the market as a free agent. We'll give you a good reference when future employers call. But
we're going to do that. Why wouldn't you?
Now.
I mean, that would, if you were planning on buying out 2 more contracts in addition to Matt Miazga, then that saves one of your buyouts, which might be the case. I just don't know that they're going to be able to go to ownership unless Neymar's coming in and they want to make major changes. Like, I don't know that they're going to get 3 buyouts out of 2 buyouts and an SEI designation in terms of from ownership on this. I don't know. Maybe.
I think it saves you the disgrace of buying out a guy the year you picked up his option. It's the way I would look at it.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's a non-injury or non-contact injury, goes down lunging. I mean, I hate to say it, but he's slow on the play, and that's why he's racing back to be a part of it. It sucks, man. Like, he's been so good for this team. Him signing was a really cool moment. Him signing killed the allocation order. Like,
no matter what. No, hold on.
Like,
No matter what happens to Matt Miazga, like, he will forever be in my mind a club legend and like a guy that transformed this club with his performance on the field and with, his signing here. And he is firmly in his money is no good here. If I ever see him out around, and he's looking for a beverage.
Yeah. So, I mean, get well, Matt. Rooting for recovery.
I'm still rooting for it. Like, nothing would make me happier than he comes back in a couple of weeks and, can make this work. I really want this to work. I really do.
Yeah.
It's a downer note to end the show on.
10th place, 7 points. That is tied with DC United, who is in a playoff spot, if that makes you feel better or much worse.
Being tied for DC United is not how I think we thought this season was going to go.
But if I told you before the season that we would be ahead of Columbus, Atlanta, Orlando, and Philly, would you have taken me up on the deal?
The monkey's paw curls. Did Columbus end up losing? Did Columbus end up losing tonight? I know they were down. I saw
they drew 1-1.
Well, I heard apparently Wessam Abu Ali got hurt as well again. Not and that you root
real
for
bad, stretchered off.
Ooh, yeah. Not that you root for that sort of thing, but
yeah,
could be worse, right?
35th minute. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
Here's a fun one too. You've got Inter Miami, who is currently 3rd in the Eastern Conference. Where do you think they rank in the Supporter Shield standings there, Chief?
What are they in the East? 3rd, you said?
3rd in the East.
Well, then they're LA lost. Philly won, so don't listen to the World's Gam if you want some stunning predictions on how that's going. Well, they're definitely behind LA. They're definitely behind LA in the West. They're definitely behind San Jose in the West, and they're probably behind Vancouver in the West, like 7th.
They are 10th.
Oh,
the West is stacked.
It's a wagon.
Nashville in 4th, Chicago in 6th. Miami in 10th. The rest is the Western Conference. You have teams like Colorado Rapids, FC Dallas.
Wait, did you say Nashville? Nashville's in the East.
I was listing the 3 Eastern teams: Nashville, Chicago, Miami. The rest are the West, with Colorado, Dallas, Salt Lake, all ahead of them, or, in the top 10 in the Supporter Shield race. This is a Western Conference heavy league right now. So,
right. Well, maybe it's a good year to be shitty then. Who knows? Take your down year this year, move on.
Yeah. Or it just means like making the playoffs should be easier. Like, yes, being tied with DC doesn't feel good, but this feels like DC's ceiling and this feels like our floor. So like any marginal improvement should jump us up to 5th or 6th. And that's not amazing, but like you can make some noise in the playoffs at that spot.
So I guess maybe this is a fun way to cap this conversation off a little bit.
Okay.
Would you rather play the style of play we played on Saturday and end up finishing, I'll say, 4th?
Okay.
Or would you rather play the style of play we saw a week ago? And I'm telling you, your range of outcomes is 4th to 11th, but it's going to be way more exciting. And your ceiling is going to be way higher in the playoffs if you make the playoffs. But there's no guarantee you're going to make the playoffs. The other side, I'm guaranteeing you playoffs.
Oh, man. I don't know. Like,
I'm guarantee you play. Yeah, guarantee you playoffs, but there's no chance. Like you're gonna get BF'd in at least the knockout stages of the MLS Cup playoffs, presented by Audi as discussed by the postcast. Or you might miss the playoffs entirely, or you might make the playoffs and be in position to go on like a real run where like a championship is a possibility.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's where I would lean, because we've seen time and time again what the pragmatic version of this team gets you. And it's not very far in knockout tournaments. Whereas like that team and that setup against Red Bull, like it's a volatile concoction.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but like it could go to MLS Cup final easily.
Or it could win the wooden spoon. I think there's a lot going on there.
Which is why I am saying give me Neymar. Because it's the same equation to me.
Yeah. Give me Neymar. Just give me something different. I mean, they got a point in Toronto. Hooray. I've seen this movie before. And if they run it back next week, I know how that movie is going to go too. Like, it's just, I know what this looks like. I know what it looks like to watch a team that's going to struggle to put up, 1.5 XG, that they're going to score 1 or 2 goals. They're going to maybe eke out a draw, but there's no chance they're going to be able to get into a firefight with anyone. It's just, I've seen this movie so many times before. And when it's something different, I can convince myself to get excited about the possibility. It's like starting a rookie quarterback. Like everything is possibility. It might be terrible, it might be great, but at least it's possibility. Where we're at right now is we're starting Kirk Cousins at quarterback. You just know what you're going to get. There's a ceiling on it. You can win with it, but you're not going to win a Super Bowl with it. And that's, I don't know. We'll see, I guess, right? Maybe we thought that we were turning the page on the back three. Maybe we'll turn another page next week. The only way to find out is to just live it. Or declare a blockade. Kevin, do you want to declare a blockade on anyone right now?
I will declare a blockade on Louisville City.
Old time's sake, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to declare a blockade on the city of Columbus, the entire city. Because fuck Columbus.
The Cincy Postcast is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out online at thepostcincy.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky, Facebook, and Instagram. Twitter and Blue Sky, though, you'll find we're a little more active than the other places. We're also on YouTube, where you can listen to this episode if you aren't listening to it already. We are also putting up video content semi-regularly, including the Away Days series. We want to give a huge thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers for providing the music for this episode. They are a lovely band, and you can find more information out about them in the description of this episode. And if you happen to enjoy what you just heard, can I please ask that you like us, that you rate us on whatever app you're listening to, and maybe more importantly than all of that, share this episode with a friend. When it comes up at work, you're talking about FC Cincinnati, I say, hey, I listened to an FC Cincinnati podcast. I think you guys will like it. It would really, really help us out. Nothing helps a podcast travel more than a good recommendation from a friend, family member. That would be awesome. When it comes to the sorting algorithms that control our lives, a 5-star review would be much appreciated. Also, leaving a sort of written review weirdly does more than that. That's how the algorithms work. So maybe say a nice or a mean thing, whatever. Just as long as you give us 5 stars, that'll really, really, really help us out. And if you are looking for more MLS content, check out our other podcast, The World's Gam. Again, a link will be in the description of this episode. That is where we touch on league-wide storylines and news, and we talk about other games and a couple other teams in there as well. I think you will enjoy it if you are just dipping your toes into Major League Soccer. A huge thank you to all of our sponsors. A even bigger thank you to all of our patrons over at Patreon. But maybe most importantly, thank you for listening to this episode.